Hello there and welcome back to Memory Gamma. Today we're going to be doing another video based upon an audience and a viewer request. Thank you very much. This is going to be a little bit different. It's not a particular ship or a card, it's a pack. So I've had a request to do a little bit of a talk on the latest independent faction pack. So this is the Adversaries of the Delta Quadrant pack. Now this is one of the last 3 packs to come out as of at the moment. Obviously we are hoping that there are more packs in the pipeline coming up soon. So this one came out paired with the Lost in the Delta Quadrant pack. So that was Voyager, the Delta Flyer, the Equinox, and and that sort of that area of them. Whereas this is the Adversary. So this is the main villains of Voyager. So some stuff we've already seen. So we get Vidian battle cruisers in here. Vidians have had quite a few reprints of various things, so we see even more Vidians, and of course we see some more Herosium. However, there are 2 brand new ship classes in this pack. Not new models, but new ship classes. So I'm going to bring up those ship classes and the captains and crew members that are not Vidian or Herosian in this pack, and we're going to have a little talk about what each one's good for, where it works, and a lot of the best things to do with them. So let's start with bringing them up. So we have Antari's Shadow, the Numeri patrol ship. Then we have, bring up the last one. Whoop, there we go. So, to start with, we have Antari's Shadow. This is a Numeri patrol ship. Now, the Numeri come from way at the very beginning of Voyager. Numeri versus the Benin when Tom Paris is wrongly accused of murder. So, the Numeri patrol ship. 4 attack dice, 1 defense, 5 hull, 3 shields. Fairly tanky, good shooting. No scanning, but it gets battle stations, evade, and target lock. Double tech weapon crew is interesting. And it's also remarkably maneuverable. Everything on the 2 line is white or green. It gets 3 bank, 4 and 5 straight, and it gets 4 and 5 come about. Now, that level of come about is really rare. The other things that get come about at that sort of speed are Dominion battle cruisers and the Scimitar. Otherwise, most people have sort of like 2 or 3 speed come about, but 4 and 5 is really quite big. Its ability is when attacking, if the defending ship has a lower hull value, you get a bonus dice. So it's good for picking on small ships. I mean, obviously, canonically, it's useful against Voyager. Voyager's hull 4, this is hull 5. Nothing to stop you boosting the hull value of this with, say, a reinforced hull, making you hull 7. Then you're going to be triggering against anything 6 or less. That's Deridexes, and you're getting a bonus. Our next ship is the Narada type. Now, these are small ships piloted throughout things. So you got here Nasaris. These are the Nasaris, and these are small bounty hunter sort of ships. So, now, this is also really quite nice, although interesting in that it doesn't have target lock. 3 attack, 2 defense, 3 hull, 3 shields. Nice stat line. Good maneuvers. It's got 1 hard turns and a come about with a 180 forward firing arc, which puts it into the very small category of ships that get that, along with Kazon raiders and Andorian battle cruisers, if my memory serves me correctly. Now, the ability on this is when attacking, if the defending ship is in the forward firing arc of a friendly ship that's within range 1 of this ship, you add a hit. Now that's a lot of if it's in range of if this is in range. What it means is you open fire. If the person you're firing at has another one of your friendly ships, if it is in the forward firing arc of another one of your friendly ships, and that friendly ship is at range 1 of you, then you add a hit. So useful if you're next to each other. So in a little battle line, 2 or 3 of these ships in a row, the Narada with its massive firing arc can get a good shot, and it's going to be adding a hit. So it's useful for swarming. And again, relatively cheap. Battle stations is always nice. 3 attack, 2 defense. Okay, good maneuvers. And then you've got the generic Numeri and Narada class from the Nasari. All they lose is the Narada loses its crew slot on the generic, and the Numeri patrol ship loses one of its tech slots. So there's a lot of good stuff here. The Antari Shadow, it's quite manoeuvrable. You wouldn't expect it from a sort of like a big 5 hull ship, but it's relatively manoeuvrable. It's got nice 2 hard turns at white. It can go quite fast. It's got good come about speed. It can even go way beyond the enemy and come around, rather than having to stick to 2s or 3 come abouts, which might end up being too close. And the Narada, again, flies really nicely. Hard turns at 1, which is a rarity. 2 come about. It's the only red maneuver as well. Not a problem there. So, our next thing, we have a handful of captains in here. We have a lot of captains in here, in fact. So there's 9 captains, and there's one of them is an admiral. I'm not going to go through the Herosian or the Vidian captains in this, because I've got a separate video for the Herosians and the Vidians. I'm going to go through the new things that have been introduced. So the first one that we might see is Iden. Now, Iden is an independent captain. He is the Bajoran hologram leading the holographic resistance against the Herosian. So in Killing Game, in season 4 of Voyager, they take over Voyager, and there's a massive, there's a big invasion thing, and they have to fight back. In the end, Janeway gives them holotechnology, because that enables them to fine-tune their opponents so they can both be better hunters, but also so the hunt can continue without it being so detrimental to everyone else around them. Unfortunately, over the next couple of years, they find that the holograms get more and more and more intelligent, and have basically stolen a ship and legged it. Iden is the leader of those. Now, there is some good things about him. There are some rather bad things about him. Or not bad things, but there are some big disadvantages. So, you cannot have any admiral or ambassador equipped to your ship. He's a hologram. He doesn't like other people being... No one else can be in charge of him or have authority over him. He is the leader, and therefore he has to be. He costs 1 point less for each independent question mark upgrade equipped to your ship. So you load him up with all of his holograms, then obviously he gets cheaper. Sounds nice. And when attacking, if the defending ship is either an independent ship or it has any question mark upgrades equipped to it, you add a crit. Now, independent ship, that's anything Xindi, Ferengi, Kazon, or actual independent, including all the dual faction ships, and any question mark upgrade. So any ship that brings along tea, or coffee, or the doctor, or a systems upgrade, that's a question mark. Any of those, you get to add a crit against. So that's an amazing ability, because those cards show up all the time. Systems upgrades, question marks that can fit into multiple slots. T is got quite a big following and shows up quite often. However, 10 points. Yes, printed value 10 points. Now, that is ridiculously expensive for a 10 skill captain and a bonus crit when you shoot someone. Yes, he does cost less for each question mark upgrade on the ship. However, they still take up slots. So, you are, if you can get him on a ship with, say, 5 slots, so a Herosian ship have got 5 slots, you can fit a maximum of 5 cards into that slot. You can do some messing around. You can throw in a repurposed cargo hold, which is another question mark, which adds another slot. That could be 6. You can put on tea, coffee, and you could load this thing up with all the question marks. But it has to be independent. So obviously, again, you can't use tea or coffee. Meridor, Gornail. So you can put that on. That doesn't require an upgrade slot. So say you do that. Say you put on all 5 upgrades, one of which is a doubled upgrade thanks to repurposed cargo hold, giving you 6, and then that's Meridor, Gornail for a 7th. So yay, Iden's now 3 points for a 7 skill captain. 3 points for a 10 skill captain. But he isn't. because you haven't saved points, because unless all of those question mark upgrades are also 1 point, you are having to spend more points to get that discount, and it's not making it up. If there was a load of question mark 1 point upgrades, then he would make his own points back, and you could put 10 of them on the ship in various combinations, and he would cost effectively free, and you've paid 10 points and you've got all the upgrades and him. However, if I'm not going to go, I'm going to very quickly just bring up the question mark upgrades, and then I'll go through them later. So in here you get 3 of them in this pack. So even just in this pack you only get given 3. So you throw all 3 of them on, Iden's now 7 points, but you've had to spend 7 points to get him. You've spent 7 points for a 3-point discount. The math doesn't add up. He's not, unless you can get all of these, every single question mark upgrade that you can get onto the one ship, and even then you're spending, could be 20 points on 8, 9, 10 cards, and that's if they're all this 2 or 3 points, you know. There's also there's other ones. Optronic Data Core is another one. That's a 3-point upgrade. Mirador Gornail is a 2 or 3 points. You know, Republic's Cargo Hold is 2 points. And because each one of them costs more than the discount you're getting, you're spending more without getting any proper return. So he sounds amazing. However, he doesn't get used, because that 10 points, even with the discount rule built into it, it doesn't allow him to actually make himself points efficient. And the extra crit that he gets when firing will not balance out and equal out enough of a bonus for you to warrant basically building his ship only with independent question mark upgrades just to make him cheaper. And if you want a 10 skill captain, bring female Q. She's 7 points and has no faction penalty. Now he could be boosted up to 13, but there's nothing that you can. There's no independent question mark upgrade you can put on that's going to boost his captain skill. So if you want to boost his captain skill somehow with an upgrade, it'll take a slot which then can't be a question mark upgrade, and therefore he'll be more expensive. So he's a really nice idea. I love the idea of cheaper. The more things you pile into him inside of his special genre, he gets cheaper. I love that. The ability is a really nice ability, and skill 10 is always scary to have off the bat. Talent slot as well. But it's that 10 points cost. There's just not enough of these cards, and they're not cheap enough to make that worth doing in terms of points. If you've got like 150 to 200 points and you're doing a huge, or you're just throwing every card you've got and you're not worrying about points, then yeah, go for it. You can load him up and he can be ridiculously cheap. But if you're not worried about points, then the discount doesn't really make a difference either way. Again, this isn't me, you know, dropping on from a great height and saying he's terrible. He's not. The ability is really, really nice. His attacking ability is really, really nice. 10 skill's always nice, and the talent slot obviously is always nice to have. You know, no Admiral or Ambassador, it's a bit of a pain, but you can work around it. Not every ship has an Admiral anyway. So you just put him on the ship you weren't going to put an Admiral on. But it's just the points cost and the whole discount thing. It just doesn't, the math doesn't math, effectively. Now again, this is just in normal play. If you're using, say, resources, you could do a resource which makes all upgrades of a particular type cheaper, and then that saves you even more points. You could pitch him with Cal Hudson with a fleet commander for 2 captains to make all of those question mark upgrades 1 point cheaper. At which point then you've got to spend 3 points on Cal. So unless you can make 13 points worth of savings, again, you're just spending more and more points and you're not making that points back. The whole point of a discount is it's meant to save you points. You know, you bring the Spectre, a Federation Akira class, all your weapon upgrades are a point cheaper. Federation weapon upgrades are a point cheaper, and you get 3 slots. And you can quite happily do, you know, that 3 points there, it pays for one of your upgrades. If you bring three weapon upgrades, and they're all 2 points, they all become 1 point, and you've saved 3 points. So effectively, you've got 1 and a bit of them for free, and you've still spent points on them, but you're in a better position. You've got more points to spare. With this one, you get it's the law of diminishing returns. You're not going to get a big enough discount to make, I don't think, to make that skill worth it. Although if someone wants to prove me wrong and build a fleet with him where he is amazing and that works out perfectly, go for it. I have no problem with that, and I am perfectly happy if I'm perfectly willing to be set right if someone wants to give me an answer about how you make sure he's amazing. The abilities all work, it's just that discount and his base points of 10, I don't see how that can be made to be cost effective. So our next captain, I'll drop him off, is Gaul. Now Gaul is a member of the Vardoir from Dragon's Teeth, the Tuareg and a subspace corridor, and the Vardoir are woken up and then get a bit aggy. So Gaul. Now, the first thing you may notice, 8 skill for 4 points. That's really cheap for 8 skill. Most 8 skills are 5 points. Some of them are even 6. However, he's 8 skill, 4 points. Brilliant. And when attacking, if the defending ship performed a sensor echo or an additional maneuver this round, you add a crit in the modifier attack dice step. That's amazing. So he is a brilliant hard counter for Romulan fleets. Because Romulan fleets, most of them these days, bring along Romulan cloaking device, giving them a free sensor echo every turn. Gaul, if they've done that, Gaul gets a free crit every time he fires at them. Even an additional maneuver. So someone that goes move, trigger a second move with a helmsman or any other crew member that gives them an extra move. He triggers and gets that bonus. And it's a brilliant ability, a passive ability that works, doesn't sound like it's going to work all the time, but in the game as it stands, it's a brilliant ability because the amount of sensor echo stuff that goes on is huge. And unless someone has gone in with an absolute, unless someone's built deliberately not, almost every fleet will have either something that can sensor echo or some sort of bonus maneuver. Because it might be that you want your ship to move faster, get to an objective quicker, you might want it to sensor echo. If someone brings Romulans, if you know the enemy's going to bring Romulans because that's the mission you're playing or because you know the player, you bring Gaul. Because if they bring in Romulans, they are, I would say, 95% guaranteed to bring at least one Romulan cloaking device, at which point Gaul triggers. So he's a brilliant. The next one we have is Alban. Now, Alban is a captain that came with with the Narada class, and actually, if you notice, he has a special ability which triggers when on this ship. Now, there's a lot of text here, and it sounds a bit confusing, so I'll read it out, and then I'll break it down. So, when this ship, or a friendly ship at range 1 to 2 attacks, during the roll attack dice step, if the captain or any crew upgrades on the ship you're shooting at have any tokens on them, you get a bonus dice. If the ship that is triggering his ability is a Narada type, it also gets to reroll a blank. So, what this means is that him on board the Narada type, whenever he opens fire on an enemy ship, if any of their captain or crew have got any tokens on them, you get a bonus dice. Flat. That also triggers to all other friendly ships at range 1 to 2 of him. If the friendly ship or his ship is this type, the Narada class, you also get a blank reroll. That's brilliant. Especially since if you're going to be flying them together, you fly 2 of these side by side. Alban on the Narada class, if the enemy ship's also in the firing arc of that friendly ship next to you, you add a hit, and add a dice, and get a blank reroll, provided they've got tokens on them. Now, those tokens can be disabled tokens, can be time tokens, any token. So you could have used biomimetic gel on one of their crew upgrades to copy its ability. You could have, assimilation tokened one of their tech upgrades and stolen it with 7 of 9. Or they could have simply time token one of their crew upgrades for its ability. So it gives you a nice passive ability against well, against almost any ship, gets any tokens. So if they go, right, I've moved this guy, disabled this crew member to get me this bonus. Perfect, you've just handed Auburn a bonus attack dice because you've got a crew upgrade that's got a token on it. Brilliant. And again, he works brilliantly on this class of ship. Now we've got 2 more captains. One of them is very contentious. The other one is not. I'm going to do the one that isn't because I've got a feeling I'm going to be spending a while on the contentious one. Yasek. He is a Hazari bounty hunter. So set up at the start of the game, you target an opposing ship and you give them a bounty token. This is a permanent effect token that remains beside their ship through the entire game. And because it's next to the target ship and it's a special permanent effect token, almost nothing removes it. So things like diplomacy that says remove all tokens from beside the ship, that works. If you were to do, or if warp jump cards were allowed, it says remove all tokens beside the target ship besides Orc's power tokens. Any of those warp jump like effects work. Again. Logic is the beginning of wisdom. Allows you to target specifically a permanent effect token. And what it does is, for the rest of the game, whenever any one of your ships attacks a ship with a bounty token, they get a point of conversion, blank or battle station, into hit. It's just if the enemy ship's got a bounty token on it, so you bring your sec and he brings the scimitar, you stick the bounty token on the scimitar. For the rest of that game, every single one of your attacks against the scimitar gets a free point of conversion while he still has that token. Brilliant. And for the PS de Resistance, not only is that an amazing ability, he's 7 skill for 3 points. That's brilliant. That's a really good captain skill, good, decent, solid captain skill with a talent slot for 3 points. No downsides there. Now our final crew member, Darla. Darla is, I think, in all my years of Attack Wing, I think Darla comes in to the level of Cloaked Mines, Warp Jump, in that level of card where she has basically split the player base and split the playing fleets in half. Half people love her, half the people hate her. She's a bit like Marmite, you're one way or the other. Okay, 4 skill, 3 points. Expensive for a 4 skill captain. However, she adds a crew upgrade to the upgrade bar. That's worth a couple of points right there and then. And she gets talent slot, which is unusual for a low skill captain. Now, her ability. You put a reputation token beside the target ship. A reputation token. For the rest of the game, every other ship on the board treats the reputation token ship as an opposing a ship for all game effects. It's still part of its original owner's fleet. Now that clarifying point is important, but I'll read that again. Every other ship treats the ship with the reputation permanent effect token beside it as an opposing ship for all game effects. So, the enemy brings their fleet. You go, Darla, reputation token on that ship there. That ship is now an opposing ship, even to its own ships. So, it completely destroys all fleet synergy. If the enemy goes, if they've gone for a swarm build, for example, with the USS Sabre, everything at range, all friendly ships at range 1 or 2 get this bonus. No. Gone. It's an opposing ship. It becomes an opposing ship, which means that it cannot be targeted by anything that says target a friendly ship. It can't be affected by anything that says, oh, if a friendly ship is nearby. No, nothing. Now, it is an opposing ship for all game effects. Now, obviously, it's still part of their fleet, so obviously that matters. There are certain cards where it just matters if it's present. Dahar Master is a good one, because Dahar Master's exact words state that you get +1 captain skill for each copy of Dahar Master in your fleet. So even if the enemy brings Kankor Koloth and you reputation token Core, Kang Koloth can't target him with abilities that say war friendly ship, but they all still get the +3 captain skill bonus because they are all still in part of that one player's fleet. So the Dahar Master maximum still triggers. But it's that ability with that just everything is off. Completely turns off all synergy. Federation fleets, nope. Nope, no. Oh look, friendly ship. You want to build the Intrepid? Your reputation token, the Intrepid. The Intrepid's lost its ship ability. You've got an Admiral. Oh look, every friendly ship at range. Nope, Darla. Click. Admiral can't be used. She turns off all friendly ship synergy in the whole fleet that involve that ship. It can be used to isolate one ship. It can be everything. And again, because it's a permanent effect token, besides abilities that state remove all tokens, or an ability like Logic is the Beginning of Wisdom, which specifically calls out permanent effect tokens, it's on there for the entire game. Completely. Now, Yasek and Darla both have these rules, and obviously the effect. However, there's a permanent effect token beside the target ship. That takes place, and according to the rules as they are written, that stays for the entire game. Even if Yasek or Darla are destroyed or their ship is destroyed. It's a permanent effect token that persists even once the original card that placed it is gone. So that you could put the reputation token down with Darla. Then Darla gets killed. The enemy is still under the reputation token. Now, we in the Fremont Reformation spent a very long time talking about Darla and Yasek and permanent effect tokens, and we have come up with a series of in-house rules about a bit like the old Wharf rulings, which is the WizKids official rules forum. We've come up with our Troy rulings, which covers incongruities and ambiguity in terms of these sort of things, and they are standard across the entire event. In fact, Darla is actually one of the most contentious cards I think I've ever seen in the Fremont Reformation in the talking sections. But just playing her as it is, if you bring her, be prepared for the opponent to really not be happy, because as I said, I have seen players in real life games, in friendly games online, in Fremont games, there are players that get legitimately angry when this card appears and then just with one ability on a 3-point card destroys the entirety of their fleet without firing a shot. Someone brings a swarm fleet that requires synergy. Darla shows up, that synergy is gone, at which point that fleet has lost all of its special rules, all of its powers, everything. Which is frustrating, and I get that. Again, I do like Darla, it's a nice ability. It never really affected me. I do not tend to play fleet build, that sort of fleet synergistic thing, simply because that's just not how I play generally. I have done them in the past, they've done quite well, but I prefer other play styles or experimenting with other play styles, so I never stick with I'm always going to build this fleet or always going to build that fleet. I like to experiment. So it means that the chances of Darla affecting me more than once every, 10, 12 games is quite slim, because every single fleet I build is completely different. So, there are the captains. There's a lot of goodness here, and there is some bits which are quite, contentious and quite difficult. Aiden's points costs, Darla and Yasek's permanent tokens. Okay, we're going to go through very quickly. We're going to sort of speed this up. So, Admiral is Kar, he's a Herosian. Elite talent. These two are both Herosian Vidian. The other one is Life of Piracy. This is one of the other more modern cards which has made quite a big impact. During setup, this ship may deploy at the start of the game within range 1 of a planet token or within range 1 of at least 2 non-planet obstacles anywhere on the board. So if the enemy's gone, right, here's a planet over here. You can deploy with the range 1 of the planet in the middle of the board. The only requirement is you must be an independent captain, which is fine. Now that step ability is already amazing, because it means that you don't have to worry about flying across the board. You could be in combat turn 1. However, there's 2 bonus abilities. You gain the ability based on the printed faction symbol of the captain the ship is equipped to. Now you might go, huh? Because it's independent, a captain only. You get a Ferengi and a Klingon. Now, all Ferengi captains are considered to be also independent, so they can all have Life of Piracy, and it allows them to discard a Battle Stations token in the end phase to get a Gold Press Platinum token. So they can already spend Gold Press Platinum to buy Battle Stations, but if they get given a Battle Stations, manage to steal a Battle Stations, or just didn't use their Battle Stations that they bought, they get a refund. It's nice. The Klingon. Now, the only Klingon captain in the whole game which this can be equipped to without having to use resources is the Albino. It allows him to make a sensor echo action as a free action, even if the ship is not cloaked at the start of the combat phase. Yes, that is an amazing ability. Even if you don't use the deployment rule and you fly him in from normal, the fact that he can, at the start of the combat phase, after everybody else has moved and acted, you can then go sensor echo without being cloaked. That is amazing maneuver and arc dodging control for the Albino. Literally just for the Albino. If you use resources, you can use fleet commander or fleet captain, pardon me, which is a bonus you can give to your captain. And if you pick an independent faction one, you make your captain dual faction. At which point any Klingon captain can get that. But in the main game without resources, it's the Albino and the Albino alone. That's the only one that's dual faction Klingon independent. Okay, tech upgrades. There's a handful. So the ones we're going to look at, we have refractive shielding. Refractive shielding is one of the absolute best new cards in terms of just its power level. So 4 points buys you a point of shielding and agility. Boom, there you go. 2 agility, 4 shields. That's worth 4 points on its own. Just plus two stats for 4 points. However, when you're defending at range 2 or 3, provided you've got shields up and they haven't got a scan token, they skip the modified attack dice step completely. So they go, right, I've got battle stations for conversions, I've got blank conversions, I've got battle station conversions, I've got rerolls, I've got all of this. Right, fire. Do you have a scan token? No. What did you roll? You know, I rolled 2 hits and 6 blanks and battle stations. Okay, congratulations, you can't convert them. It skips the modified attack dice step. Now that does mean there are some effects that you can do in the modified attack dice step that would make them change their dice rolls. So you can use things like there's a Geordie which allows you to make them reroll one of their attack dice if you've got a scan token. You can't do that because they have to skip the modified attack dice step, but that's a tiny price to pay to stop them from re-rolling and converting everything. That can be avoided by either getting to range 1 of you or having a scan token. Scan tokens are very prevalent these days, so that's not going to be too hard. However, not a lot of ships generally do scan as an action. Scan tends to be, unless your ship is built for it, the action you do if you get a free action, because a lot of people want to go target lock for weapons or battle stations because it's just the best action overall. Refractive shielding is brilliant for scans. It's brilliant for any fleet that either can't or doesn't usually scan. Klingons, Romulans, both of whom usually struggle to get scan tokens and also rely on large attack dice numbers and lots of conversions. Refractive works brilliantly. Improved deflector screens. It's a reprint of an older card. It's simply 3 hull or less ship, and while you have shields, you get to cancel 1 hit or crit every time you defend. And as soon as you've lost all your shields, you have to discard the upgrade. Now, it is only discard this upgrade when all the shields have been destroyed. So if you cloak or have your shields disabled, it doesn't discard itself, but you just don't get to use its ability unless you have active shields. The next one is regenerative shielding, which is unique to the Numeria patrol ship, which is simply +1 shields, and in the end phase, repair 1 shield every turn. It's unique to the Numeria patrol ship, and it's just an extra shield and a shield repair every turn for 3 points. Perfect. If you bring in Numeria patrol ship, bring regenerative shielding. Realistically, bring regenerative and refractive. As you now see, this thing here is 4255, which is a point of hull better than a Intrepid class for, the same stat line. Yes, you've had a bunch of bonuses, but you get passive shield repair and cancelling enemy conversions. Brilliant. We've got a Translocator, which is a stealing card. Action, discard the card, pick a ship at range 1 and steal either weapon or a tech upgrade. That's the one that Tau uses in Concerning Flight to screen past Voyager and steal the main computer control unit. And also the Leonardo da Vinci hologram that was working in the holodeck at the time. A shame we haven't got a Leonardo da Vinci crew member. That'll be fun. So it's it's an action discard to steal something at range 1. Doesn't have to be. They don't have to be not cloak, no shields. It can literally just be you screen past. If they're within range 1, steal something. Boom. But it's a discard, and there's almost nothing that keeps tech upgrades around instead of discarding them. The next two are Herosian-y based ones, but stealth mode gives Herosian ship sensor echo. Monotanium armor plating, again, is a reprint of an old Herosian card, which basically means that anytime someone tries to target lock you, you get some defense dice. If you manage to get an evade, they don't get a target lock against you. And if they ever do get a target lock against you, you can action disable it to untarget lock yourself, which means the ship's really, really, really hard to actually get a target lock on due to the passive defense, and then you can just action to cancel them all. Crew. There's quite a few crew here, but again, I'm only going to do the ones that are not Herosian Vidian, because I'm going to do all of them as part of the Herosian Vidian lists, because there's going to be a separate video for the Herosian and for the Vidians. So we have Mobar. Mobar is one of the two people that goes with Darla. So Darla is from, I think it's Live Fast and Prosper, when you have these three con artists who are pretending to be Janeway, Chakotay and Tuvok and doing bad trades and spoiling Voyager's reputation in the Delta Quadrant. Mobar works that any opposing ship at range 1 to 2 that has a permanent effect token beside it loses a defense dice every time they defend. In addition, if that token is a reputation token, all of the battle station, scan and evade tokens spent by that ship are given to Mobar instead inside range 1 or 2. So you put Darla with Mobar, give the enemy ship a reputation token, and while it's in range 1 to 2, they'll lose a defense dice, and every token they spend, battle station, evade and scan, Mobar and Darla get rather than returning them to the token supply. So that then encourages them to not do action tokens, because they go, well, you attack me, okay, I attack you, spend a battle stations token, spend a scan token to do this. Congratulations, you're just handing me more tokens. Our next one, we have Kuros. Jason Alexander in his Star Trek Superfan guest appearance. Member of the think tank. So his action is target a ship at range 1, and the opponent has to choose one of the 3 following effects. They either have to have a bounty token beside them, if they don't already have one. You can steal a battle station evade or scan token, and you get that token plus an evade token. Or once per game, steal a unique crew upgrade equipped to that target ship and equip it to the ship, ignoring the ship's restrictions. Now, that is a brilliant set of abilities. He's 3 points for an action. He's not even an action disable. Now they have to choose one of them. However, there are ways you can use him to make sure that they can only pick one option. So if you scream forward and go action on you, right, which one do you want to go? Right, I've already got a bounty token, then you can't choose that one. I haven't acted yet, so I haven't got any tokens for you to steal. Well, you can't choose that one. In that case, you have to pick the I get to steal a crew upgrade. Thank you very much. So there are ways that you can force the issue by strategically picking which ship you use Kuros on and use him to steal stuff off the enemy. Steal a crew upgrade, stealing their tokens, and whatever token you steal, you get that and an evade token, which is nice. Or you can give a bounty token. And of course, Yasek and Kuros in the same fleet, you could quite quickly hand out bounty tokens to the entire enemy fleet, which is never a bad shout. So he is particularly nice. Tau. He is the aforementioned man with the translocator. Tau has 2 abilities. So the first one you have to do is the combat phase one, then you have the planning phase one. So he's got 2 abilities. In the combat phase, target an opposing ship at range 1 to 2. and you get to steal either a scan, battle stations, evade, or auxiliary power token and put it on top of Tau. So you basically harvest something off of them. And you might think, well, why do you want to harvest an aux power token off of an opposing ship? Because then in the planning phase, he can then target himself or another ship and give them the token that's on him. So, in the combat phase, you can target an opposing ship and you can steal their battle stations token, and then next round give it to yourself. Or you can steal an auxiliary power token off an enemy ship and then give it to a different ship, which doesn't have to be an enemy ship. It could be a friendly ship. It might be a friendly ship that likes aux power tokens. It might be something that they've got that gives them bonuses for aux power tokens. Or you can use it to transfer aux power tokens around the enemy fleet. So he's very nice, but it takes some time to get going because you have to get to the combat phase first at range 1 to 2 and then steal something on that turn, and then the following turn you get to hand things out. Our next crew, we have two more. We have Kovin. Kovin is an arms dealer. So he adds weapon upgrades to the upgrade bar. That's nice. And for 2 points, that's worth it just for that. However, whenever you would place 3 or more time tokens on any weapon upgrade, you can time token him instead and disable weapon instead. So if you've got a weapon that requires 3 or more time tokens and you need it to be available quicker, use Kovin, because you'll replace the 3 time tokens with a disabled token, and then you can immediately next round go action re-enable, it's ready again, rather than having to wait 3 turns for it. Now it says 3 or more. There is a weapon that gives you more than 3, and I'll get to that in a minute. And finally, Tsar. Tsar is the other member of Dala's little triumvirate of evil. And what he does is, at range 2 or 3, the captain equipped to any opposing ship within range 2 or 3, if they have a permanent effect token, they lose a captain skill. If it's a reputation token, it's 2 captain skill. So he is a long-range captain skill minus for everyone with a permanent token, so reputation or bounty. For the reputation token, it's a -2. So Dala, Mobile, Tsar are a 7-point combination. 3 Mobile, 3 Dala, 1 Tsar. And that 7-point combination can utterly destroy the entire enemy fleet's workings. Turns off their ship synergy, you steal one ship's token, that ship also loses defense dice and has its token stolen and gets lower captain skill. It just messes everything up. A really nice sort of combination. The final one, we have some weapons. I say weapons, we have exactly 4, and I'm only going to go through 2 of them because the other 2 are based on the other ships. So, the isokinetic cannon. Now this is a 5-point weapon, forward firing arc only, and the attack value is the weapon value plus 1 of the ship. So on the Antari Shadow, it's a 5 attack dice. For 5 points. Ouch. Attack. Place 4 time tokens on this card and target an opposing ship. Even more ouch. But then that's where Kovin comes in. Declare target step. Disable 1 tech upgrade equipped to the defending ship. So, you go, I'm firing at you with the ISO cannon. And just for saying that, you pick one of their tech upgrades and turn it off. So, for example, regenerative shielding. They lose a point of shielding, they can't repair this round. The refractive shielding off, lose a point of shielding and agility, and you get to modify your dice this round. Could be multi-adaptive shielding, it could be reinforced hull, anything. Pick a tech upgrade, it's turned off. I mean, use it against a Romulan ship and use it to disable the Romulan cloaking device. That's always funny. And because it doesn't require a target lock or anything to fire, you can fire this at any ship you like. It's best on, obviously, a large firing arc ship. So the Narada works quite nicely with 180, but again, you only get 4 dice. But combine them all together. So here's 5 dice. If you're firing at a ship with less hull, 6 dice. If the enemy did a free sensor echo, 6 dice plus a flat crit. That all adds up without requiring any tokenage to actually be able to use. The final weapon is the Tetrion particle weapon, which is only allowed on the Narada class here, locked to the Narada type. 3 points, 4 attack dice, range 1 to 3, 2 time tokens. Hits and crits from this attack cannot be modified, re-rolled or cancelled by any opposing card effects. So you roll to hit and you get, say, 3 damage. They go, well, haha, I've got, you know, a high capacity to shield grid. To cancel it, discard this card, cancel 2 damage. Nope, you can't. You also can't use things like reinforced, you know, the improved effector screens, cancel a hit crit when defending. Any card effect that would force you to modify, reroll, or cancel any of your hits or crits, they can't do. So then they're down to, okay, what did you roll on the defense dice? That's fine. They can still spend evade tokens because that's not card effects. But any card effect that says when defending, convert, cancel, make the enemy re-roll one of their attack dice, no, none of them. So that's a really nice weapon. It is locked in the Narada class to stop it being overly powerful. Otherwise, that everywhere would just be broken. But that is a really nice upgrade. It gives you a lot of offensive power against all these super defensive ships. Now, the final thing we're going to do is the question mark upgrades and go through them very quickly. So, as I said, there was 3 of them. We have Kajal. Kajal is a hologram, but she looks like a Cardassian engineer. She can either be a crew or a tech upgrade. Nice. So if you've got something that gives you a discount on crew, make her a crew upgrade and she's a point cheaper. And as an action, you may remove a disable token from a question mark upgrade equipped to this ship and repair 1 hull or shield. So she pulls double duty. She re-enabled something else on the ship and does a repair. That's a nice action. You do have to have question mark upgrades that are disabled, but there are ones that disable themselves to do their abilities. No problem there. Vice. He's a human, a hologram looking like a member of Starfleet. He counts as a crew or a tech upgrade. Now, his action is disable this card and target an opposing ship at range 1 to 2. Disable one of their crew upgrades and you place an evade token beside your ship. So he can disable a crew upgrade on their ship and you get an evade token as his action. Then next round you could do action with Kajal, re-enable him and repair. Nice. And finally, Photonic Field Generator. Now, this is the one that you bring along if you're doing the Iden hologram ship. So this counts as a tech or weapon upgrade. And you may perform all actions listed on question mark upgrades, even if you have Orcs power tokens. That's amazing. So you can have Kajal and Vice on board this ship with the Photonic Field Generator. And even if you've got Orcs power token, you can still do their actions. Brilliant. And also, opposing ships within range 1 to 2 cannot discard or disable your other question mark upgrades equipped to this ship. So if they go, I'm going to come in and discard your crew upgrade and target Vice, you can't. The Photonic Field Generator stops you. Now they can target this. So if it says something that says, right, steal a tech upgrade on the enemy ship, you can steal Photonic Generator or make them discard Photonic Field Generator because it's only every other question mark upgrade. And once it's gone, the rest of them are targetable. But he gives nice protection. See, they're really nice abilities. Those 3 cards work really nicely together. You could do with 2 actions a turn because you want to be able to do Vice and then Kajal every turn. But you could do Vice 1 turn, Kajal the next, Vice 1, Kajal the next, and just keep doing that. You get passive, you get repair, you get to re-enable Vice, you get an evade token whenever you do his ability. Orcs power tokens don't stop you from doing it. They can't be discarded or disabled by other abilities. They're a really nice combination. But then the problem is, as I said, those 3 cards are 7 points and they only give you a 3-point discount on Iden. So you're still spending 14 points on 4 cards. You can get a ship for 14 points, which is the Nasari class here, for example. So that is me going through every single card from this pack that isn't a Vidian or a Herosian. As I've said, the Vidians and the Herosians are going to get their own video because there's enough ships and upgrades for them to be worthy of having their own almost mini faction video as I go through that whole faction in one go. So, thank you very much for joining me. I know this has been a bit of a longer video and I haven't actually built anything. I've just been going through the individual cards. But hopefully what I've said gives you some ideas. It gives you a bit more of an insight into what the cards do and how they interact. If you have any questions specifically around how particular cards work or any combinations you might want to do, or if you want to see me do a build out of these cards and build a Mondo powerful ship for the Delta Quadrant, drop me a message, put it in the comments. I'll be happy to do so. If you've got your own very, very strong feelings on Dala or your SEC, then again, drop me a message, let me know. If you haven't already, I urge you come and join the Freedom Reformation. The Discord link is in my page description, and in there is all of the, you can have access to all of the decisions that we've made about Dala and Yasek and how all the cards interact with each other based upon our lengthy discussions. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me. This video has been the longest one I've ever done, and I think they're only going to get longer if I do more of these. But thank you very much, and I will see you next time.